I think that right here, this first change is going to be one of the ones that people talk about the most. Just healing wells are now invulnerable. They're destroyed when their nearby fort or keep are destroyed. That is literally how they work in ARAM. It is just the exact same behavior. You never deal damage directly to a healing fountain, you just take out the thing next to it, and then that takes out the healing fountain. So this is kind of a blow to anybody who really like to snipe healing fountains, myself included. If you play like Tracer, Genji, Zeratul not as much. Tracer and Genji were the two main culprits. Then you're really feeling this. This is a nerf. It shouldn't matter too much, because you only sniped healing fountains in some of your games anyway, and now you'll just do something else. But it does kind of suck. And then what's crazy to me also is that this change came at the same time that forts and keeps also had their HP buffed as well, so it's even harder to take them out now. And with like an extra 3,000-ish HP going to the forts and keeps, it actually makes me think like that makes it a lot harder to play Juice Pirates. So this might be just changes that a lot of people that don't snipe healing fountains and don't play Juice Pirates and hate to have those things happen to them, i.e. the vast majority of the populace, they might really like this. So I think overall, for a couple people that like alternative strategies, these changes kind of suck, and I think most people will generally enjoy them. Let's see, here we got Rehgar. I haven't looked at most of this. This is new to me, and I knew he had a shitload of changes, but damn. This is just a rework, straight up. Okay, yeah, Heroes rework, Rehgar, okay. Extra AD, attack speed lowered, so let me see here. If you used to do 106 damage per attack and you attacked 1.25 times per second, it's a little bit different because of your wolf damage, it changes things and it's an auto attack reset and all that, but before you dealt 132.5 DPS just auto attacking straight up. And now you deal 126.5, so this is technically a DPS nerf in terms of if you're just sitting there attacking in orc form. But it wouldn't surprise me if, given how wolf form works, where it's a modifier of your attack damage and an auto attack reset, it wouldn't surprise me if that ends up with you dealing more damage most of the time. I was just like not talking at all before this, and then I just like was like, oh, patch notes, and I just booted up the stream and started talking, and I'm like, oh, my voice is not warmed up yet at all. Okay. Let's see here. For Lightning Shield, each enemy hit by Lightning Shield restores 2 mana to Rehgar. So yeah, they're just giving you the mana talent built in from level 4. It was Electric Charge, I want to say. I really like that. Then if you need to hit enemies 25 times to get the mana back, because it costs 50 and you get 2 mana every time. And Lightning Shield deals damage 10 times. So you would need to hit at least 3 targets in order to get all your mana back from Lightning Shield. And if you're only hitting 2 targets, then you're only going to get 40 mana back, even if you hit them for the entire duration. So you need to hit at least 3 targets total. Okay. So just to fully refund the mana. But then if you're in something like, if you're in the middle of like a wave or like an Infernal Shrines objective, then that's going to be easy. New house? No, I've been at the same house the whole time. If you saw my stream, like, you know, a couple months back, I was in a different room. But I like this. This is more closed off. It's less bothersome to the people around me. It's the Earthbind Totem, a lot of extra HP. Hold on, that actually can matter because depending on what talents that you have in the new system right here that function with the totem, that could be a lot. If it's harder to kill the totem and the totem has some crazy effects attached to it, oh man. All Ghost Wolf information has been moved to the Z key, and we now have Purge. Activate to make an ally unstoppable for 0.5 seconds or slow an enemy hero by 80%, decaying over 2 seconds. Wait, that's actually crazy. That you can use it on allies or enemies on a 30-second CD. A 0.5 second unstoppable on a 30-second CD, and then it can also be used for peel or kill pressure? Oh. I didn't recognize it first, Tread, that you're on your new account. Well, welcome. Yeah, I read Adjudicator and it like didn't jump out at me at first. Welcome, dude. Sorry about that. I just saw the first time chat from viewer message that the streamer sees. Anyway, let's look right here. It's been a while since I've seen you stream. It's been going well. I'm just working on a lot of stuff in my personal life, you know, trying to get better at the streaming side of things, working on my own health. I've been working out a little bit more consistently, trying to up my social media game to grow the stream, all that kind of stuff. It's a time of definite, like, focus on growth right now. But I'm going to focus on the patch notes here, guys, the patch notes for the new HotS patch. So let's get back into it. So here was Stormcaller, which was a level 4 before, and it used to give you mana. This is probably not updated yet. So yeah, Stormcaller used to be when Lightning Shield damages an enemy, it restores mana. Now that functionality is baseline. So Stormcaller now makes Lightning Shield bigger, which I think was already a talent that you had. Yeah, Electric Charge. And whenever you hit an enemy hero with Lightning Shield, you increase Rehgar's health and mana by 2 and 1 respectively to a maximum of 300 stacks. That actually seems like it could be really good. Grounded Totem, like in a Fiesta, right? Especially if you have other W talents that pair with this well, it seems like it could be really good, because 600 extra HP is a lot, even in the late game. Like, even all the way at 20. Okay, Dread, thanks for letting me know. Let's see. So, Grounded Totem now at 1. It used to buff Earthbind Totem's health, your totem, but now it doesn't. So let me see. Your totem got its HP buff from 217 to 326. And Grounded Totem before used to increase its HP from 217 to 434. So your Grounded Totem is now going to have less HP than it did before. Meaning that your totem is better when you don't have Grounded Totem, but it's going to have less HP than it did with Grounding Totem before. However, now it also reduces spell power. So it slows attack speed and reduces spell power and has greater range by 50%. That talent actually seems really good. A really big Earthbind Totem, a really big totem slows in a big area, reducing spell power and attack speed. That has a lot of potential, especially into certain heroes, to just really screw them over. Like, for instance, auto attack Diablo just cries if he has to play against this talent. Entering or exiting Ghostwolf form grants 20 armor for 2 seconds, increased Ghostwolf's movement speed bonus to 40% for the first second, then fade to 30%. And right now, what's Ghostwolf, 30%? This doesn't even say. 20%. Okay, so it's still overall greater in that Ghostwolf right now is 20%. And then even after this initial boost, it's still going to be higher than it is right now. This just makes you a lot harder to kill. In all honesty, like, getting armor and move speed when you Z just makes you way harder to catch. And so if you need a support that's safe and that's not going to die to enemy aggression, this might be a really good choice. AoE shrink rate? Yeah, level 1, basically, is what Grounded Totem is. Let's look at Earth Living Enchant. So Earth Living Enchant... let me see right here, because he has a couple different Q talents at 13. Earth Living Enchant is the one that heals a hero when they're below half. And so now he just gets it way earlier, and it heals for a little more. Okay. I want to see what the competitors are before I really give an opinion about that, especially because Earth Living was kind of only really the pick into... In the current meta, I feel like is only the pick into, like, very sustained damage focused comps, which we don't see that often anyway. Electric Charge at 4. It heals the bearer for 20% of the damage. Now, wow, that actually seems really nice. While damaging an enemy, Lightning Shield increases its bearer's move speed by 10%. Okay, guys. The exact kind of heroes that you want to put Lightning Shield on are the same kind of heroes that benefit from this talent right here, Electric Shield. Because Electric Shield, you put that on a hero that wants to be really aggressive and be on top of the enemy team, and now it's going to be healing them in the meantime. And giving them move speed, so it's harder for the enemy team to get away from them. It's easier for your ally to stick to the enemy team, and they're getting self-healing in the process. Like, this definitely wants you to W yourself. I don't know, the fact that it's only on heroes is what kind of annoys me. I do think it's interesting that as it's written, though, this will give move speed to anyone, even if they're not damaging a hero, but just anything. I think that's only going to be marginally useful. This, to me... seems like if you have a good hero to throw it on, like a Sonya, who just wants to get right up in the enemy's face, it seems like it could be really good. Healing Totem, E active. Healing Totem health increased from 50 to 175. It now scales at 0.04%. Please tell me that's a typo. Please tell me that's 4%. Rehgar got a baseline cleanse fatality on a 30-second CD. Okay, hold on. So I want to do the math on this one. Okay, so if it's actually scaled at what was that? If it's scaled from 175 at 0.04% per level, that would be 175 times 1.0004 to the level that you're at. So for instance, at level 20, if you gained 20 levels, the healing totem would go up a single point of healing. That's a typo. I would bet all the money that I have that either this is a typo or that they didn't mean to do it this way. Like, either it doesn't function like that or they didn't mean for it to function like that. So let's change it for an actual 4% scaling rate instead of a 0.04% scaling rate. And now the healing totem will have 383 health at level 20. Okay. Healing duration increased, or healing increased from 2 to 3% max health per second. Duration reduced from 10 to 7 seconds. Let's see, before, the healing totem the most it could heal an ally for was 20% of their health, because that's 2% per second for 10 seconds. I'm assuming that's how it works, right? It might be, is it 10 ticks or 11 ticks? Yeah, it ticks 10 times. So the most the healing totem could heal an ally for was 20% of their max health. Now it can heal them for 21%, 3% ticks for 7 ticks. And it takes significantly less time to do so. So this is a really big buff to healing totem. It's significantly harder to kill, while still being pretty easy to kill, in honesty, but significantly harder to kill. It's not just like, oh, one stray auto attack will do it on some characters. And I like that it scales. This typo is very funny though. That's a significant buff. I think, based off what I can see here, I expect healing totem to be the pick. The fact you do get a 13 talent though, which is really nice. You do get Earth Living enchant. I'm just, I don't know. I'm not sure that it's that good, to be honest. I expect healing totem to be the pick, and maybe if you're giving W on a really aggro hero like Sonya, maybe Electric Charge. So of course cleanse got removed. Did Rehgar just get a buff? He got a whole rework, my guy. Let's see. Cleanse got removed, but he does have a baseline cleanse on his trait now. Let's see. Colossal Totem moved from level 1, no longer increases Earthbind totem range. Yep, because the level 1 increases the range now. So that's it. It's just a worse talent and moved up 2 tiers. Hold on. So now it's Colossal Totem. It no longer increases the range, so it just makes the totem bigger. It increases the area of the totem. And I don't even think it body blocks, so I don't even know why the area matters. And you can move the totem to a new location once. I am extremely skeptical of this talent not being hot garbage, to be honest with you. I am very, very skeptical of this, with some of its functionality removed, and a very good E1. I don't know. We'll see. Let me look at the other options. Blood and Thunder. Cooldown reduction reduced from 2 to 1.5 seconds. So this was when you attacked someone while you're in Ghost Wolf form, it reduced your cooldowns. Now it doesn't reduce your cooldowns as much, but it does give you more mana. And this is if you hit anything, guys. I want to point out. This is just Ghost Wolf attacks on anything. So you can just walk up and hit a minion and get 5% max mana back. And that means that you can be on the map forever, basically. If you get mana regen on your W baseline, and it completely refunds the cost of W if you're hitting at least 3 characters, like for example on a minion wave, and you're also getting mana from this, you could easily stay on the map forever. That is really important in SL, just always being around to help your teammates and never having to back and then worry about them dying. Like, SL is largely, Storm League is largely about fiestaing, and this seems like it could be really good for fiestas. And anytime you're just trying to take like really sustained fights, maybe like with double support, this could help you not run out of gas in double support. Purification, we got a cleanse upgrade here. Removing a slow stun, root, or silence from an ally heals them for 260 and refunds 50% of Purge's CD? Wait, that's actually insane. No, so Nodru, the Colossal Totem, it no longer increases the range. So the range is on this talent over here on Grounded Totem now. This is what increases the range, but this 7, guys, I was looking through the list, and Purification, I think, just takes the cake. Like, 100%. I fully expect this to be the best 7 talent by far in the vast majority of situations, okay? So Purge is, we went over it earlier for those of you who weren't in here because it was right at the start of the stream. You can see it right here. Activate to make an ally unstoppable for 0.5 seconds or slow an enemy by 80%, decaying over 2 seconds, cannot be used on self. Cooldown is 30 seconds. The fact that you can lower your 30-second cooldown cleanse to 15 seconds? Ah, you're right. Yeah, it increases the cast range, not the area. I was thinking about that. You're right, because I thought that meant like literally making the totem bigger, and I was like, oh no. You know, that makes so much sense. Okay, so grounding, or let's see, Colossal Totem will still increase... Will still increase the area of effect, but not increase the cast range. That'll be... Okay, so that's not as bad as I thought. Still, I don't think it holds a candle to Purification, honestly. I look at this, and I'm like, the fact that you have a 15-second CD cleanse is just ridiculous. Even though it's half duration, that doesn't really matter. Getting a half second of cleanse on someone and an instant heal for 260, which is no joke. Like, that is not a negligible amount of healing. That's the same as your Q. Okay? Literally the exact same as your Q. So when you cleanse someone, you're gonna instantly basically hit them with a Q and then have another cleanse in 15 seconds. And then at the same time, it deals damage to shields. That's really interesting. I did not expect that to, we don't have a lot of shield damage mechanics in this game. And using Purge, and it also reduces healing received by 40% for 3 seconds. Yeah, that's just really helpful for aggressive kill pressure. Like, Purification is going to be insane defensively and offensively. I really want to know what the range is on Purge, because that is the biggest thing. Doesn't that punish talent? I mean, kind of, yeah. It means that you don't get the benefit of the 7 if you pre-cleanse an effect that happens after you cast it. I know what you're saying, Nodru, but that it's still massively a net positive. It means just wait for the ability to land rather than pre-cleansing, unless it's something obvious like Stitch's Hook where you have to pre-cleanse. But this is a lot of extra kill pressure offensively and a lot of healing and save defensively. This talent, I think, is instantly going to be, like, all the good Rehgar players are picking this. I am going to be shocked if this is not super meta. Okay, ult's not even changed at all. 13, Tidal Waves. This is the one that gives you cooldown reduction every time your Q hits a new target, your chain heal, and also mana cost reduction on a cast, I believe. Let's go ahead and verify. Tidal Waves, yep, reduce your mana cost and give you CDR per hero hit. Now you're getting a little bit more CDR here, so now you can get 3 seconds off of Chain Heal's cooldown. So bringing it from an 8-second cooldown to a 5-second cooldown. And it also takes 20 mana off the cast. And we already have some other mana generation talents as well, but like I said, I don't think this is going to get picked. So we have some mana generation in our base kit, and that's basically it. And the amount of mana generation that we have now, assuming you don't pick the 7, if you just go off the baseline W, this generates less mana than it did before, for the most part. Seems odd for a talent to encourage suboptimal use of cleanse, I guess? I mean, I don't know. Let's see, I'm not sure it's a problem. Earth Shield. Shield amount increased from 12 to 14% of max health. That's just really good. On demand 14% max HP on a friendly hero. People are going to realize how frustrating it is trying to kill people when they're just constantly getting spammed with 14% shields. Like, that is a significant amount of anti-burst, while also being really good when used offensively. Like, people don't realize in a lot of games that shields are really good offensive enablers. They enable you to be really aggressive with HP that you don't care about losing. And the fact that you can give even more HP, even more shielding to your aggressive Greymane, your aggressive Sonya, Zeratul, whatever, is really good. Wellspring. Every 2 seconds, Earthbind Totem will cast an untalented chain heal at a nearby ally that heals for 40% of its normal value. That actually seems kind of crazy. Hold on. So Earthbind Totem lasts 8 seconds, so I'm going to assume that this casts 4 times. And four chain heals at 40% of normal value is worth 1.6 chain heals. So at this point, it's honestly, you just have to compare the healing value that you get from this to the competitors. I think his 13 tier just looks really strong. Like, it literally looks like he just has 3 different really strong 13s at the moment. And it wouldn't surprise me if all of them are meta to pick, depending on what the situation is. Rising Storm. So this before was your W scaled up in damage whenever it hit heroes. That was what Rising Storm did before. And it would also cast it on yourself too whenever you W'd somebody else. And then these Ws would ramp up in damage when they hit people. Now it no longer self-casts when you cast it on somebody else, but it does. I think this means that the damage still ramps up. I would be very surprised if it didn't. And it also increases the duration of Lightning Shield by 3 seconds. So one thing I'm noticing here that I will point out, guys, is that Stormcaller, the level 4 mana generation talent that we have before, it specifically says a limit. It says when Lightning Shield damages an enemy hero, it restores 4 mana up to 100. And then here on Rehgar, we just see additional functionality. Each enemy hit by Lightning Shield restores 2 mana to Rehgar with no mention of a cap. And so I'm wondering if it's possible to go past that 100. Given that it would take 50 hits, you'd literally have to be hitting more than 5 heroes or more than 5 enemies with every tick of Lightning Shield for that to even matter. But that gets a lot easier if you have the extra Lightning Shield duration. If you have a Lightning Shield that lasts 8 seconds, then it's a lot easier to get 50 total hits out. So this might actually end up giving you a lot of mana generation. I'm not sure that it really matters too much though. Hold on, I scrolled way too far. In general, extra 3 seconds of Lightning Shield on the main target at the cost of your self shield. Honestly, I feel like that seems like an... At the end of the day, it really just depends on whether Rehgar was able to go in or not, right? With Rising Storm, like if Rehgar was able to also use his W shield, then the old Rising Storm was better. And if he was not, then the new Rising Storm is better. But I also feel like if Rehgar wasn't able to use the W aggressively, he shouldn't have picked old Rising Storm. But maybe you can now. Maybe this enables you to play back and then still play to W your aggressive hero without feeling the need to also jump in alongside them. Earthgrasp Totem additional functionality. Earthbind Totem deals 145 damage when first plays? What? So that's the 90% slow when you place a totem. When Earthbind Totem is first cast, and it says first cast because there's the other talent that lets you replace it somewhere else. This talent already generates insane kill pressure and really good peel, and it's just going to generate more kill pressure if you add on 145 damage onto it. That's not a lot of damage. At level 0, you know, it's going to scale up over time to be more by the time you're at level 16 than 145 damage. But that is significant, and you're already talking about a talent that was already really solid, so I think that this change looks really interesting. I don't think this really makes or breaks much, but it's going to make a talent that's already really good more good. Hunger of the Wolf. Yeah, it's just when you auto-attack somebody with a ghost, you heal for 5% and damage them for 5%. Now it's 6% each. Yeah, it's even more burst. I feel like the trend that we saw before with Rehgar was that he had a lot of decent talents at every tier, and it seems like that's kind of the case with 13 and 16 still. Whereas with 7, I still think it's Purification. 4 seems like Healing Totem to me, maybe Electric Charge sometimes. 1... One, I think, has multiple good options. Yeah, it's just a thing on several tiers here. Okay, so 20, no more Rewind, no Storm Shields. Though we still have our ult upgrades, it looks like. Elemental Conduit activates to gain Lightning Shield and grants all nearby allied heroes a shield for 10% of their maximum health for 5 seconds. Each time this Lightning Shield hits an enemy hero, grant nearby allies a shield equal to 1.5% of their maximum health? Okay, so I will point out, guys, this says activate to gain Lightning Shield. This does not say activate to gain an untalented Lightning Shield. This says activate to gain Lightning Shield. And if this Lightning Shield is talented, That means it gets 3 extra seconds of duration. That means it gives you mana, that's by far the least important part, and that means that it has bigger radius. Oh boy. Okay, so if you get a lightning shield that has 25% bigger radius and lasts 3 seconds longer, and every single time it ticks, it grants nearby allies a shield equal to 1.5% of their max health. Let's see, how often does lightning shield deal damage? Twice a second. Lightning shield deals damage twice a second, so this is you're shielding allies around you for 3% max health every second. This, I don't know. I feel like this actually, I know I'm hyping it up, but I feel like this actually has a lot of potential to be super terrible. In some situations. I think that... Yeah, sure, per hero that you're damaging, but you're the only hero that can give out the shield. So if you're standing on top of 2 enemy heroes as Rehgar, then you're giving everyone around you 6% shielding per second. Yeah, so I guess in a lot of situations that would be insane, because you could just start like inting into the enemy team and survive with this. Yeah, so... Yeah, you just give everybody a shield, and then you just jump straight in on the enemy team. You have a bigger shield, because that talent description reads like it's a talented shield. So you have a bigger shield. You have 600 bonus health, potentially, from Lightning Shield. And that shield lasts 3 extra seconds, and you're shielding people around you. I gotta say, guys, it is impossible to judge this talent without knowing how big Nearby is. There are a lot of talents that should be really good and are really bad because Nearby is way too small, okay? And so this is really what I need to know before I can give an opinion about this talent. This is what I need to know before I can give an opinion about this talent, but in general, I think that if you have any kind of capability of just running in and being aggro on top of the enemy team, like in the same way that you would with Thrall's Earthquake, then that seems like it has a lot of potential for being really aggro. Does Rehgar get any of those shield effects? I fully expect it to, but it is ambiguous writing. This, when it says all nearby allied heroes, sometimes when a description says nearby allies, it doesn't mean the hero who cast it, and sometimes it does. I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot that we can't tell just from the text of how Conduit is written, where we can't tell how good it is. Pit Fighter, gain 10% attack damage and 5 spell power for yourself and each nearby ally hero, stacking up to 5 times. How does it stack? It doesn't say how it stacks. Is it? Oh, it's for each nearby ally here. Okay, so you get a stack for each, I guess. Yeah, I read that as for every ally here. Okay, so it stacks off nearby allied heroes, and then at 2 or more stacks, Purge's cooldown refreshes 50% faster. Okay, so given that it stacks up to 5 times, and that Lucio's House Party, which is also an aura that stacks per nearby allied hero, Lucio's talent stacks off of himself. He is one of the stacks. And given that Rehgar stacks up to 5 times, that says to me that Pit Fighter also considers yourself a stack. So this just means anytime you're near an ally at all, Purge's cooldown refreshes 50% faster. And keep in mind, there's also a 7 that I think is going to be the meta 7 that halves your cooldown on Purge whenever you remove one of these effects. We could realistically see, let's see, a 50% cooldown reduction is not the same thing, or rather, a 50% increase in cooldown refresh rate is not the same thing as a 50% reduction in cooldown timer. So if something ticks down 150% faster, I think that's only a 1/3 reduction in actual cooldown time, if I remember correctly. Which would mean that realistically, best case scenario, you have a cleanse on like a 5-second CD. Like with Pit Fighter, you could realistically have a Rehgar cleanse every 5 seconds. That's actually kind of crazy. I don't think the attack damage part of this matters much. This just depends on the range again. Like, what does nearby ally mean? You know what I mean? Because then again, giving attack damage to your teammates can be kind of insane. Yeah, this seems like These, I honestly, I see a lot of different potential options at level 20. I feel like I don't have enough information with how these both are dependent on how big nearby is to know how good they are. I don't feel I have enough information to say what the good 20s will be. It's been a while since we've made any major changes to Rehgar, and while his win rates are not worrisome, his identity as a flexible generalist healer has suffered as of late. With this rework, we're making a number of quality of life changes by baselining some of the talents that felt mandatory, as well as introducing new talents to sharpen his build identities. Just to prove that old dogs can learn new tricks, we've also given Rehgar a new activated trait, Purge, which allows him to micro-cleanse an ally or momentarily snare a distant enemy. Distant enemy. The fact that they felt the need to include that word makes me really want to know what its range is. That is the big question I have. Like, those Rehgar changes look gigapog, and like 3 or 4 different times I'm like, what's the range? You know, like, just to know how good this stuff is. Let's see, Auriel Q cast speed baseline, love it. Cast finish time increased from 0 to 1 tick. I don't really know what this means, but okay. So this is the thing that got baseline, Swift Sweep. It's just added in baseline. Heavy Burden, additional functionality, increased attainment strike stun duration by 0.25 seconds. Heavy Burden? Which one was Heavy Burden? So let's see, Heavy Burden is Detainment Strike slows enemies by 20% for 2.5 seconds, slow in duration are doubled on the enemies it stuns. This was a lot less meta than Repeated Offense, which I know everybody else was taking whenever Auriel did see play, which is not a lot in the current patch, to be honest. But added stun duration is a really big change. So let me see, if they added on 0.25 seconds onto this stun, it is a 1.25 second stun, and now it'll be a 1.5 second stun that slows them for 20% for 5 seconds. Yeah, that's what it already does. It's just crazy to me reading that. If they're buffing all the heroes, I'm terrified for the double support meta. Oh no, we'll see what happens. I didn't mind double support. I thought that it had problems, but for my personal enjoyment, I liked it. Which is the same thing I would say about the healing fountain thing, which also got taken out in this patch. Let's see. That is interesting, though. I want to see if that matters, but I feel like Repeated Offense is still going to be meta. Will of Heaven, additional... what is Will of Heaven? Will of Heaven is the extra attack speed on allies who have Crown. Guys, I'll be honest, I think Reservoir of Hope has been, like, the meta Auriel 16 for a long time. There used to be other options back when your W had a 2-second CD, and it was really important for whoever was giving you energy to be able to just pump out ridiculously massive sustained damage. But then when they took away the talent that halved the cooldown of W from 4 seconds to 2 seconds, and added in a lot of self-energy generation as well for Auriel, it is like way less important that your carry is able to just pump you full of the hope, the energy all the time. So these 16s just haven't been very good ever since then. It's been Reservoir of Hope, so I want to see how they change it. 10% AD buff? That's, no. I was like so hyped to see what they would do, and then it's literally 10% AD on Auriel. No. That changes almost nothing. Wrath of Heaven, additional functionality, enemy heroes hit by the center area of Sacred Sweep. So Wrath of Heaven is the spell power. Enemy heroes hit by the center area of Sacred Sweep or the terrain collision of Detainment Strike have their spell armor reduced by 10% for 3 seconds. This is a nice to have, for sure. It's easier to kill people. You can do a lot of armor reduction on the enemy team. It's a lot easier to kill people off your stun. I still don't see either of these changes dethroning Reservoir of Hope. I don't see Reservoir of Hope getting dethroned, to be honest. So, like, basically what changed here? These are all straight buffs. I think the 16 changes are irrelevant. I think the 4 change is likely irrelevant. Basically, it just looks like we got Sacred Sweep baseline. Like, to me, that's what I'm reading from this patch. I would love to be proven wrong. I don't think these changes matter a lot, though. Let's see, Brightwing. Healing nerfed on Z. Magic Spit cooldown reduction nerfed by a lot. Invisible Friends, ooh, reduced from infinite to 9 seconds. I made a patch specifically complaining about this exact thing. Hold on. Here, give me just a second. I intentionally blanked out the screen so as not to accidentally show anything I don't want to. But I made a post complaining about this exact thing, and then it got changed. And so thus... Oh, hey, thanks, Reddit. And then it got changed, you know? All I'm saying is you guys can thank me for this one, alright? I'm taking full credit for this. This was a specific thing I complained about. Extra heal on invisible friends, though... Oof, that's annoying, but at least invisible friends can't be used to just like perma-stealth your tank or like your Zeratul. Not Zeratul, he can already do that. It can't be used to perma-stealth people and just have them camp wherever they want now. Brightwing remains strong at all levels of play and is also terrorizing her foes at higher levels. While this is a substantial nerf to invisible friends on paper, we feel Brightwing still has compelling reasons to take the talent. Yeah, easily. Easily. Invisible friends could last 5 seconds and you would still have a lot of reasons to pick it in teamfights. You wouldn't be able to use it to set up ambushes, but just in teamfights, taking away the ability for the enemy team to click on the person that you blink healed is just ridiculously good. Let's see, Dahaka. Health reduced from 2434 to 2385. That's what, a 49 health nerf? Or no, yeah. 49 health nerfed, basic attack damage nerfed, lurker strain nerfed, feeding frenzy nerfed. Oh, just straight nerfs across the boards. Yeah, Dahaka, I don't think he even needed the last round of buffs that he got, and they're just nerfing him. I'm not really sure exactly. These nerfs seem kind of strong, to be honest, but I don't know how they compare to where he was before the buffs. These do seem significant, though. Falstad, his trait activates earlier, okay. And then his W is better. These changes, I'll be honest, might as well have not happened. I don't think these make a big difference. Maybe some Falstad players will disagree with me on that one, and maybe they're right. But these both seem very minor. Imperious Q damage increased, you hate to see it. Do not take me back to the Imperious main tank meta, where everybody's just running around, going 9 deaths, 10 deaths, 12 deaths. Let me see. Blaze of Glory, damage increase. So let me look at Imperious really quick. Blaze of Glory. Solarian's Fire leaves a line of scorched earth along its center, exploding after 2 seconds, dealing 185 damage. Okay. Blaze of Glory deals additional damage with Valorous brand marks, but no longer consumes them. Okay. Okay. That's interesting because if you open with W, then this doesn't really do much. If you're opening with a W, and to my understanding, what you want to be doing on Imperious is casting W at someone and then queuing onto them to hold them in place for Solarian's Fire. Oh, it's the explosion that benefits. Okay, yeah, not the baseline. Okay, that actually does make sense. So the explosion that happens that you're holding them in place for with W, this does work if you're casting W first. And it doesn't even consume the marks. That's actually a fairly substantial buff to that talent. Okay. I don't think Imperious is in a great spot, and I'm kind of happy he's not, to be honest, because I think Imperious is one of the least interesting characters in the game. He is basically just like... I feel like people pick Imperious when they want to just be the guy that only does damage and like makes everyone else have to do everything for them, which is kind of the same boat the Tracer's in, to be honest, but... I don't know, I don't like having that character on my team. Let me see. This is a fairly substantial change. Jaina was already in a good spot. She had 3,000 shaved off her ice block. Winter's Reach, additional functionality, increased the missile speed of Frostbolt by 30%. I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure that this matters. This does seem to make Jaina better at stalling, which is the reason you would pick Winter's Reach. Like, if you had to have a reason to pick Winter's Reach, it would be to poke at an objective and stall it. So now it goes a little bit faster. I don't think this matters a ton, to be honest. This is easily my least picked level 1 Jaina. I don't think this is going to change that. Getting your Ice Block 3,000 damage earlier, though, is very nice. Let's see, Johanna D reduced from 25 to 22 seconds. Divine Fortress, buff. Basic attacks against any targets grant physical armor? Hold on. I think this challenge was specifically about hitting heroes, right? So Divine Fortress is, yeah, when you hit enemy heroes, you get 8 physical armor for 2.5 seconds. Now, when you hit anything, so basic attacks against any enemies grant 10 physical armor for 4 seconds. That is so much better. That is actually a lot better. This means also that you are significantly better at tanking forts for your team. You can negate some of the armor reduction of the fort, and physical armor reduction does work on structures. Structures mostly usually count as enemies. It's kind of funny, sometimes structures are not considered enemies, sometimes they are. But for this one, I'm going to assume that they do count as enemies, hopefully. And if they do, this means that when you have Divine Fortress, you, like I said, you're just way better at tanking bosses, tanking forts, tanking keeps for your team right here. Zealous Glare, additional functionality. Shield Glare deals 125% additional damage. So that is, what, 59 times 1.25 extra damage? And then you get 2 charges, so we can multiply that by 2. An extra 147.5 damage. That's a non-negligible amount of damage. I don't think the change is like earth-shattering, but it's something. I think this Divine Fortress change makes it way better, but whether that means that people will consider it meta, I don't know. It does seem really good though, because that's basically permanent 40 physical armor whenever you're like in a minion wave or on a camp or something. Although, you do want to be holding down bushes a lot. Thanks for the 100 bits. Where are my Genji buffs? Where are your Genji buffs? I don't know, man. Let's see. Hold your ground cooldown reduction. Okay, so they took hold your ground's cooldown reduction at level 4. They took 3 seconds out of it and just put it baseline. So they were trying to make the competitors to hold your ground a little more pickable, but I feel like they already were. I don't know. Let me see. It's basically between hold your ground and subdue most of the time, I think, and I do think subdue is quite a good talent. I don't know. I know it was before the rework, but I haven't kept up a lot with Joe now. Since exposed duration increased from 2 to 3 seconds. Punish reduces healing received by 35% for 2 seconds. Basic attacks against them reverse this duration. I don't think this matters a lot. It's a lot easier to keep up the buff now. So maybe this could mean that you potentially just have like permanent uptime in Fiestas on the enemy frontline or something. So that could end up being useful. Steed Charge. Bonus Iron Skin duration increased from 1 second to 2 seconds. Let's see, Roar, passive punish damage bonus increased from 25 to 50%. I actually don't know. There's been, Johanna 13 has been like a hotly debated talent tier, even before the rework and continuing into now. I'm gonna assume that this means that Roar is decent, but I'm really not sure, honestly. This is probably the character in the whole patch notes that I am the least familiar with, this post-rework Johanna. Junkrat, Big Az, move to level 13. This honestly seems like it just kind of, this seems, is this gonna kill E-Build for Junkrat? Which I would be very happy if it did, because E-Build is so goddamn frustrating to play against. So let's see, you get Shattering Teeth at 4, and then if you want to take Big Az, which means that your Steel Trap only hits heroes and it reduces armor and it gets bigger and deals more damage, 4 different effects. Now if you want to take that, it has to compete with getting an extra trap. You have to take it over Gotta Trap 'em All. And Gotta Trap 'em All was a huge power spike for trap build. So this kind of feels like it kills trap build, to be honest. Like what, are you gonna go like Sticky Wicket or something, you know what I mean? Enemy heroes who are hit by Steel Trap are silenced for 2 seconds and then pair it into Big Az? I would be very surprised. That is a major blow. That's the one that makes it ignore minions? Yeah, I'm aware. So then Puckish Camp. I'll be honest, guys, I never saw a single reason to pick Puckish Camp before. This is the one that gives you both Junkrat ults. It's the Riptire, or it's the Rocket Ride upgrade, and then after you pick Puckish Scamp, you get both ults, and whenever you use one, you get the other one. This was a really awkward to use ability already. That is an upgrade for the significantly less effective Junkrat ults. It is a very significant buff, don't get me wrong, taking 20 seconds off of each of the cooldowns, so this goes to 55 for both of them. I don't think it matters. I'm still not picking this talent, okay? Is there a world where Big Az and Sticky Wicket, where Sticky Wicket and Big Az makes your singular trap pretty strong? Definitely still a nerf. I mean, I could definitely see it, right? Like, because then the person who gets hit by your trap, which is very big, is effectively stunned. Because it's a root plus a silence, that's pretty much a stun. They're effectively stunned with minus 15 armor, so it's really easy to kill off your trap, but I just don't see that being anywhere near as effective as what we have now. Lunara damage nerf on poison, choking pollen nerf. Lunara has hopped a little higher than we expected, so we're diluting her poison. I'll be honest, I don't really like the approach of nerfing her passive damage. I feel like this is... I would choose something other than, like, you know, her unique characteristic to nerf. But these nerfs, I feel like, aren't going to dumpster her, but they are very... They're very non-negligible, you know, they're significant. These nerfs right here. Okay, Probius. This looks like a rework to me, kind of. Okay, it looked like the notes were longer than they were, but this is still a lot of changes. Okay, Probius, Warp Rift. Duration reduced from 9 to 3 seconds. Additional functionality, Warp Rifts explode on expiration. Why? You know, just that's my first question with this change, just why? So now you don't really have the ability to close down an area nearly as effectively for like an extended period of time, but they go off on their own, so that is kind of its own area denial. It also means that you can just drop W's on waves and just walk away without even having to queue, but what you were already doing on Probius was extremely similar to that anyway. It seems like a buff though. Like just having these always explode just means that it does make navigating the battlefield really awkward for the enemy team. I'm now like, what's the point of your Q though? The major point of your Q is that it's exploded these warp rifts, and I guess it still does that, but I don't know. Super weird. Probius is its own character with its own philosophy, completely separate from the rest of Heroes of the Storm. Photon cannon attack period reduced. I'm not too familiar with the attack period phrasing, but I'm pretty sure this is basically the same thing as attack speed increasing. I don't see this change as a bad thing though. I see it as kind of like, why? But I think that when we actually get into the games and try this Warp Rift change out, I feel like it's gonna feel better than we expect. So I'm pretty sure this is an attack speed buff, and then additional functionality no longer requires pylons. Photon cannon doesn't require pylons? But it gains attack speed and reveals nearby enemies. Okay, so that's a level 1 quest upgrade just built in baseline, and it prefers heroic enemies. That is really good. Okay, I like this a lot. I need to know exactly what this means right here, the attack period, but the rest of it is really good. Echo Pulse, so this was you shoot your Q out and then it returns to you. Now it returns to you at full damage. It doesn't get nerf damage on the way back. Gather Minerals no longer reveals enemies because that's now built in baseline to Photon Cannon. Particle Accelerator, I'll be honest, I don't know what that one does off the top of my head. Disruption Pulse deals 15% more damage for each enemy or Warp Rift hit up to 60%. Reduce the cooldown of Disruption Pulse by 0.5 seconds, plus an additional 0.5 seconds whenever a Warp Rift explodes. Okay, so we got changed out now for a new one. After hitting 4 heroes with Disruption Pulse, the next Warp Rift detonated by Disruption Pulse fires 4 pulses for 71 damage. That's basically shoot 'em up. And so that's why we see shoot 'em up getting changed as well. Reduce Disruption Pulse's cooldown by 0.5 seconds. This seems kinda garbage, I'm not gonna lie, guys. Not sold by it. Rift Shock, new functionality. Exploding a Warp Rift within 1 second of its arming, so you have to use Q. Deals 90 damage over 3 seconds. 90 damage? That's not a lot. These 2 7 changes seem really weird to me. Like, Gather Minerals is worse, Particle Accelerator seems worse, Rift Shock seems worse. Because Rift Shock before used to give you 20% amped damage against that target for 10 seconds. This seems worse. Pylon Overcharge, duration reduced by 2 seconds, can only target enemy heroes. And your pylons are invulnerable. Okay, I like that it makes your pylons invulnerable. And one thing that I actually really like about this is that with your pylons being invulnerable during overcharge, now the enemy team cannot get rid of your level 13 pylons, which all give area buffs to your allies. So if you can give your teammates, for example, an unkillable aggressive matrix to fight in where they all have 35% bonus AD, and you have characters that actually make use of that on your team, that can be really good. Like, all of Probius's 13s actually have, like, a lot of potential to do really good stuff, and the fact that they're unkillable during overcharge, I feel like we shouldn't overlook this change. Shoot 'em up. Disruption Pulse deals 2.5% of enemies' max health as damage, reduces... Okay, so reduces the cooldown by half a second, and you can get another half a second from Accelerator, meaning that Q can have a 2-second CD. This seems terrible. Getting extra poke damage on a relatively short-range spammy ability as maybe the squishiest character in the game. And you have to choose that over getting... What is this? A third pylon and extra pylon overcharge damage, or infinite null gate, or new warp rifts. And keep in mind, Probius loop actually seems like it could be kind of really irritating with the auto-exploding Ws. Yeah, no, I don't think there's ever a world where you pick this shoot 'em up. So I'm looking at Probius and I'm like, shoot 'em up, don't care. Rift Shock, don't care. Particle Accelerator, don't care. Gather Minerals, don't care. Echo Pulse change, really interesting. Pylon Overcharge change, really interesting. And this stuff. Alright, let's see what else we got. Rainer, damage buff, slow buff at 7, don't care about heavy slugs. The ace in the whole damage buff is interesting. I think that 2% change isn't going to be enough to matter, though. Cavalry's arrived at level 20. Dude, they more than doubled the duration. Hold on. What is Cavalry's arrived? What is that? Give them some pepper. Lowers the cooldown of Hyperion by 5 seconds if the primary target is a hero. These heroes are targeted by Hyperion for 100% increased damage. So I'm assuming the mark duration. Okay, so whenever you hit someone with your trait over the next 6 seconds, they're going to specifically be targeted by the Hyperion for double damage. Seems interesting. Ooh, Duskwing did not need these buffs. Duskwing was already a very good 20 in my opinion, kind of underrated. Doubling the health and leash range of your Banshee, and then giving it armor reduction. Armor reduction is kind of nuts into certain heroes, and it's only going to be even more the case now, where you have a Duskwing that has double health and can shred someone for 30 armor. If you're against like Garrosh, you now have a ward that spies every Garrosh flank ever, which is already what this does, but this ward spies every Garrosh flank and makes him just never have armor in any fight ever again. Because look, it lowers enemy armor by 2 every time it attacks. And this set it was actually 2.5 per attack. That's interesting. So maybe not actually a big massive change because it already worked better than it should. But its attack speed is 4, guys. This thing attacks 4 times per second. And its basic attacks lower enemy armor by 3. So this is minus 12 armor per second. This hits minus 30 armor in less than 3 seconds of hitting the target. So this just makes Garrosh, Deathwing, Cassia just cry. It makes a lot of people cry, but especially those heroes. That change is really interesting. I don't know though, but the rest of the changes make me feel like Rainer's overall position won't change that much. I think this is going to feel really good once you hit 20. But if you weren't already going to pick the Rainer before these changes, I doubt you will now. Stuka, very minor health nerf. Noticeable healing nerf on his Q kill switch. And that's it? Wow, I kept scrolling down waiting to see more Stuka nerfs. Okay. No, he's just very slightly less tanky. Heals very slightly less. I think he's still going to be pretty good. Yeah, they didn't nerf low blow. I'm uninstalling. I kind of agree. Stukov has like multiple different builds that are just unbearable to play against, and this doesn't really change that. Tyrande, Lunar Blaze. Maximum bonus damage increased. Cool. Lunar Blaze was already really good for following up on your tank to burst kill a target, and it's only getting better at that, so I like this. Although I don't know if she needed it. True Shot Aura. I've never really been sold on True Shot Aura, but we'll see what happens. Mark of Mending. So Mark of Mending is really interesting. I actually heard people talking about this before I started the stream. So Mark of Mending is when you auto attack a hunter's marked target as Tyrande, you heal people around you, but now you heal people around where your auto attack is going. And over a slightly bigger radius, but that radius has been moved towards your enemy. That's an interesting change. Not really sure what to say about it. I feel like That seems, without the range increase, like it would be worse, but with the range increase, I don't know. That means it covers a really big area, 8.5 in every direction around the target. Harsh Moonlight got nerfed. This makes sense. Like, I fully expected to see Owl build nerfs because Tyrande is the highest win rate healer in the game. She's one of the highest win rate characters in the game. She's like number 2 or 3 right now. And Owl build was her highest win rate build. So we see Harsh Moonlight nerf and Power nerf. Not actually super big nerfs though, I gotta say. Like, if you actually wanted to nerf Harsh Moonlight, you would either need to nerf the duration more or nerf the amount that it slows. And Empower is still pretty good. So I still, looking at this, it still looks like E build or W build is still going to be pretty good on Tyrande. But it wouldn't surprise me if the other builds start to come up and match it a bit. But I think that Tyrande is still going to be really high win rate looking at these changes. Then Eye of the Huntress, the Shadow Stalk. Yeah, so Shadow Stalk just heals more and the Starfall slows more. That is a significantly better 20. 60% slow in the Starfall area. Tyrande, yeah. Yeah, she's still going to be top of the win rate. I'm going to be amazed if she's not still a top 5 win rate character after this patch. Zarya, together we are strong. Changed functionality. No, this was my favorite Zarya 1. Hold on. So the current behavior of the Zarya 1 is that when you shield an ally, the damage they deal gives you energy. Change functionality. Talent effects now last 3 seconds instead of for the duration of the shield. That's even better! Let's go! Although this shouldn't really matter most of the time. That's underperforming. That's interesting. This only matters if the shield basically got instantly popped before the character was able to deal damage, which to be fair happens regularly. And in those situations, your shield's still going to give you more energy. Deep Burn. I'm pretty sure nothing actually changed here in Deep Burn. Because it was already bugged to accidentally give 2 energy when the tooltip said that it should give 1. I think they're just changing the tooltip to actually match the real behavior. Okay. And then, wow, we're already at the end. Bug fixes. General resolved issues when the enemy is blinded. Yeah, so a lot of things were getting benefits when they shouldn't have. Or using marks or whatever. When you were hitting an enemy and you couldn't hit them either because you were blinded or you're evading. And now these are going to work properly whenever you're blinded or the target is evading. Meaning you're not going to get benefits that you weren't supposed to when you hit them. And you're not going to consume marks that you weren't supposed to. When you didn't hit them, when you failed to hit them because they dodged it. This change is really good. Yeah, this was a bug with Lunara Q, and it actually wasn't that hard to trigger either because choking Pollen is just insane, where if you last hit an enemy hero with Q while you had accelerated contamination, you would get that talent's cooldown reduction forever. And then you could just spam Qs for the rest of the match, which was really absurd. And so if you're able to abuse that bug, it was really dumb, and I really like that they fixed it. I don't know, I know Death Dealer was bugged, I don't know how, but it's cool they corrected it. I remember hearing people talk about that. I like this. There was a lot of really buggy code with how Whitemane's armor worked, and I'm hoping that this means they fix it. In general, like, heroes that have, like, self-nerfing effects, like Gul'dan's, minus healing that he takes, and Whitemane's self-reduction of armor, they have, like, really buggy code with them that doesn't work how it should. And so I'm hoping that this takes that out. Oh, hey! Zool, corpse explosion damage is now ignored by the call for help. That's nice. So, yeah, when your skeletons would die, I think is corpse explosion. If that damaged an enemy, then that would give you aggro, so now it doesn't. That's really nice. Devouring Maw now more consistently displays captured heroes. I actually had this happen to me on stream a couple weeks ago. Devouring Maw didn't display who was captured in it. So guys, the way that this worked, this bug, was that if Devouring Maw picked up any non-heroes inside it, then it wouldn't show any heroes. So like you could have, like, you know, say somebody pulls up on you and you're standing in a minion wave, and they Devouring Maw you and the minions, then there would just be no picture of you. And so your teammates couldn't tell if they didn't see you go in that you were in the Devouring Maw. Bubblehearth's cast is now interrupted by stuns. Okay. That, in case you wanted your garbage meme talent to be even more garbage. Corrected Medusa Blade's damage. By the way, guys, I will say Zagara, I will say I heard about a bug that I want you guys to know about, okay? Zagara's Hunter Killer at 20 is currently bugged. Or is it Pack Instincts, or... I think it's just Hunter Killer at all. Something about Zagara's W is bugged to just not deal damage. And it might be just the baseline Hydralisk itself deals no damage. It might be the level 20 talent deals no damage, but they specifically are missing a little bit of code that says something about what kind of damage your W is supposed to do. So right now, it's doing way less damage than it should. So I'm gonna let you guys know that for the PTR, and hopefully it gets fixed by live. Okay, so Zeratul entirely scoreboard changes, Zul'jin. Yeah, I like these changes a lot. You can ping your actives to let your teammates know about them. I don't think it matters a lot, but I do think that that's just something we should have, so that's good. Okay, that's the whole patch, y'all. Stun range on Lunar Blaze alone makes it good. Yeah, it's really good when you're following up on an aggressive stun tank like Murd and an Uberak, that kind of thing. I forgot to delete Warhead Junction. Honestly, dude, I'm of the opinion that like a good 1/4 to 1/3 of the maps are just significantly less fun than the others. No new Candy Cane map, unforge. I'm worried about the wording more consistently instead of just consistently. Hey man, they're doing their best, okay? Alright friends, that is it for the patch. We went over everything. I gotta say, you know, no new hero, no new maps. We are gonna get some skins to my understanding. I'm kind of surprised they didn't get mentioned because I thought before skins used to get mentioned. But I talk a lot about my Twitter. If you talk a lot about the patch on my Twitter, and I talk a lot about my Twitter. If you go onto my Twitter account, Mockery TV, you'll see that I have a lot of posts up of stuff about what's going to be in the new patch. I've got some images. And then also, all these images that I got, I just took from Windstriders. Okay, the Windstriders Discord, which you might even be able to just like Google straight up. I highly recommend going there. Yeah, it looks like that's got it for you right there. But I would recommend going to one of those two other places if you want to look into more stuff about this patch, like the cosmetics and whatnot. Like we got this, for example. If you want to see the cosmetics, that's where you can go. You want to see this new mount? This is also in there. And then if you want to go over the actual changes to the characters, that's what we just spent about, I don't know, like an hour going over. Which maps do you really like? I like Towers of Doom, Infernal Shrines, Tomb of the Spider Queen. There's a lot of good ones. Like I think like I said, about 2/3 to 3/4 of the maps are really fun. Just some of the maps are a pain. All right, friends, that covers everything. Let me go ahead and look to see who else we have online right here. I imagine anybody else that we look at is going to be doing the same thing we are. And it looks like right here, Bahamut is actually playing the game. So I'm going to go ahead and send you guys to Bahamut. I didn't want to send you guys to a raid of patch notes review that's just going to be doing the same thing we were just doing. All right, friends. Exploding Warcraft 3 sheet mount. Yeah, I used to do that all the time as a kid. I would just walk up to the critters and I would just spam click them, because if you clicked on a critter like a pig or a squirrel or whatever like 100 times, they would explode. I totally didn't realize that's what this was a reference to, but you're absolutely right. Alright friends, thank you so much for hanging out with me for this quick little patch review. I say quick, it took like an hour. And I will see you all soon. Give Bahamut my best, friends. See you later.